You wake up the way you always do, with the small sounds of a house that knows your steps. The kettle ticks before it boils. The floorboards murmur under your feet. Outside, the sky is a pale sheet, not quite blue yet. Today is for simple tasks. Water the plants, sort the mail, call your sister. Then the doorbell rings. If you are watching right now, write in the comments where you are, which city or village, and what time it is for you at this exact moment. I will read them. Your note helps other people find this story, so say hello and tell me the time. It is too early for visitors, too late for packages, and there are no birthdays in sight. You hold your breath, because the doorway is where news arrives, and news has not been kind to you. You open the door and find a white box tied with a ribbon the color of old gold. A small card sticks out like a tongue. The paper smells like dust and roses. You bring the box to the kitchen table and cut the ribbon with the scissors you keep in the mug by the fruit bowl. The lid lifts with a soft sigh. Inside, roses sleep on crushed paper velvet red, cream like milk, a few pink ones with petals that curl at the edges as if they are trying to listen. There is a pattern here, a touch that took care. You stroke one bloom and feel its warm life. It feels wrong because the person you miss is not warm. The card is stuck under a clear pick. You slide it out. 4 words written in that firm, blocky hand you know by heart. Look behind you. Your chest turns to glass and then to dust and then to glass again. You do not turn. You cannot. The house is still. The clock on the wall makes its tiny kicks. You can hear your own breath, and it sounds like someone else. You know that handwriting. You know it from grocery lists that always forgot the sugar. You know it from notes he left on the fridge, full of silly arrows and smiley faces. You know it from the last letter he wrote when he thought the chemo would fix everything, when he drew a sun in the corner like a child. He has been gone for months. You were the one who closed his eyes. You were the one who chose the suit. You pressed your hand on the casket as the lid lowered like a slow wave, and now the same print. You do not turn. Instead, you name the room around you to hold yourself in place. The kettle, the window plant with the brown leaf you have not cut yet, the small chip in the bowl with the lemons, the chair that creaks, the magnet with the tiny cat. The world is ordinary, so your fear must be the thing that is strange. You say his name once, as if you are testing the sound for cracks. It is a small name in a big room. Maybe this is a joke. You do not think your friends are cruel, but grief makes people odd. Someone might think this is clever. Someone might think this will make you smile. You do not smile. Your hand keeps the card on the table as if it might float away. Your other hand finds the back of the chair. Your knuckles turn white and you are surprised to see they still can. You look at the roses again. They are not cheap. Whoever sent them wanted them to be right. The colors are exact, red like the blanket he loved, cream like your best blouse, pink like your cheeks when he made you laugh until you cried. The stems are trimmed neat, no thorns, leaves polished. There is skill here, or habit. You picture a florist somewhere with bright lights and a bucket of water and hands that know how to make beauty at 9 in the morning. You tell yourself to breathe. You count to 10. You set the card down and step away from the table, but not toward the doorway behind you. Your back prickles with a line of ice. You think of ghost stories you used to read as a girl and you want to scold yourself. You are not a girl. You are a woman who has signed forms and spoken to doctors and held a face you once kissed until it was still. There are no ghosts in this kitchen. There's a bouquet and a card and a woman who does not want to turn around. You move to the sink. You run the water, just a thin stream. The sound is a cover for your loud heart. The window shows your small yard, the fence that needs paint, the neighbor's maple already letting go of leaves, though summer is not fully done. You stand like that for a count of 5, and then 7, and then 9. as if odd numbers can keep you safe. You turn off the water and the room is too quiet again. At last, you turn. Your shoulders are tight and high, your jaw set, your eyes doing that thing they do when you walk into a dark room. The hallway is empty. The front door is closed. The coat hook holds only your blue sweater. No one is there. The air does not change. The light is the same pale sheet it was before. You turn back to the table and the roses are still there, as if they have never moved. You pick up the card again and look at the back for a clue. There is nothing. You look at the box for a sticker or a logo. On the inside of the lid, a stamp. A name you think you recognize but cannot place. You put your finger on the stamp and trace it as if a map might appear. Your mind starts to sort. Who knew that name? Where have you driven past it? Did he ever mention it? You decide not to chase that thought yet. Not here. Not while the words, "Look behind you," are still warming the table like a small ember. You speak to him the way you did after the service, when the last guest left and you washed the dishes alone because motion was easier than sitting. You say, "If this is a trick, it is a bad one." You say, "If this is a sign, I am not ready." You say, "If this is you, I need you to be kind." Your voice sounds steady, and that feels like a win. You pull a chair out and sit, card in one hand, ribbon in the other. Your ring taps the wood with a small click. You left his ring in the drawer because you could not bear to wear both. The doctor said grief has no clean line. It goes back and forth like a tide. Today the tide has rushed in and filled your shoes. You will not drown. You say that to yourself the way a mother would say it to a child. You put the card back in its slot and push the bouquet a little farther from the edge. You do not want it to fall. Your phone hums on the counter where you left it. You look at the screen without picking it up. 3 messages. One is from your sister. One is from a number you do not know. One is from the pharmacy, a reminder you already handled. You look at the unknown number longer than you should. You tell yourself, you will make tea. You will sit with the first cup and just breathe. You will not make big moves. Not yet. You are allowed small moves only. You are allowed to be slow. You are allowed to check the locks and then check them again. You fill the kettle and set it back. The flame licks blue and neat. The sound of boiling is steady. Across the table, the roses look like they are listening. You almost laugh at that thought because it is too much, but it is true. They lean a little toward you, or maybe that is the way the stems were placed. You decide not to touch them again for now. You look at the card and force yourself to read the words out loud in a whisper. Look behind you. You turn again, quicker this time, as if speed will catch whatever you missed. Still nothing. A spider thread catching light near the doorway. A dust mote shifting like a tiny planet. You carry the box to the living room because the kitchen feels too bright now. The living room has the soft chair you like, the one that holds your back just so, the one where he used to fall asleep with the remote on his chest. The carpet is warm under your bare feet. You place the box on the coffee table and sit. The room already knows this posture, you and an object and the thick air of a decision you do not want to make. On the shelf, the photo of you and him at the lake leans slightly forward, as if trying to see better. You had meant to fix that tilt. You never did. In the picture, he is squinting in the sun, his arm around your waist, your hair a mess from the wind. He wrote the date on the back of that picture in the same print you now hold in your hand. You do not take the frame down. You cannot hold both at once. You listen for the house, for anything out of place. The fridge hums. A car passes outside and someone laughs, a bright burst that feels cruel because you are not in on the joke. Somewhere down the block, a dog barks twice and stops. You check the battery on the smoke detector with your eyes like you always do when you are anxious, as if a green light can bless this moment. It is green. You look at the ceiling and feel calm, slip back in, inch by inch. You tell yourself a small plan. First, you will take a picture of the card so you will not doubt what you saw later. Then, you will set the card in a drawer. You will not throw it away. You will not hide it. You will give yourself the option to look again. After tea, you will step outside and check the porch for any other sign, a tag, a slip, a footprint. You will not call anyone yet. You are not ready for other voices to touch this moment. The kettle clicks off in the kitchen like a polite cough. You stand, slow again, because the room is peaceful and you do not want to wake whatever is sleeping inside it. At the doorway, you pause and look back at the box. It sits there, stubborn and pretty. You say his name one more time, softer than a breath, a sound you could confuse with the wind if you needed to. You go make your tea. The steam curls up like two hands. You warm the cup between your palms and feel your throat loosen enough to swallow. You carry the tea back to the living room and sit. You rest the cup on the saucer and the sound is a light ring that fades. You pick up your phone and open the camera, and your hand is steady now. You take a picture of the card in the bouquet. You crop it so the words fill the screen. You save it, and then you set the phone face down. You are the only one who decides when to look. For a long moment, you do nothing. You breathe and drink and sit. The morning is still mostly ahead of you. This is only 1 hour in a house that has held thousands. Things can be strange and still be safe. You let that idea sit with you. You feel it settle. Then you reach for the box lid and turn it over again to stare at that stamp with the name. You do not say the name out loud. Not yet. You just let your finger trace it until the letters feel like they belong to your skin. And in this quiet, with the air steady and your heart slower, you make a promise. You will follow this trail, but you will do it on your feet, not on your knees. You look up and realize the light has shifted. It is brighter now, more honest. You stand and close the living room curtain halfway so the room holds both day and shade. You whisper again to no one and to him, if this is a joke, stop. If this is a gift, guide me. If this is you, be gentle. The words do not change the air, but they change you. They give you the next step. Finish your tea. Put on your shoes. Open the front door. Look at the world that brought this to you. And breathe. When you open the front door, the air feels different. Not cold, not warm, just waiting. The street looks the same as it always does. The cracked pavement, the old oak leaning toward the light, the row of mailboxes that tilt like tired soldiers. But everything has a new sharpness, as if someone turned the focus knob on the world. You stand there with the box of roses in your arms because you couldn't leave them inside, and you scan for movement. The delivery slip is gone. Maybe there never was one. Maybe whoever brought the bouquet made sure there wouldn't be. You crouch down and study the doormat. The pattern of dust and small leaf fragments shows one new set of shoe prints, large, flat, fresh. Not the mailman's usual tread. Your stomach tightens, and for the first time you feel that tug between fear and curiosity that will carry you through the rest of the day. You step back inside and set the bouquet on the counter. The note is still there, same 4 words. Look behind you. The letters don't blur when you stare, so this isn't imagination. It's paper and ink and intent. You pick up your phone and type the flower shop name you traced earlier. The search results show a small business 2 towns away, one you and your husband visited once, years ago when you still drove long weekends just for the pleasure of driving. You remember that trip like a photograph, his arm out the window, whistling a tune you didn't recognize, sunlight skipping over the hood of the car. You bought him a ridiculous cactus from that shop, a plant he named Spike, and kept on the porch until winter took it. The memory hits you so suddenly, that you have to sit down again. The idea that the bouquet came from that exact place feels impossible, and yet it fits the quiet cruelty of the morning. You call the number. The tone rings 3 times before a woman answers. Her voice is young, cheerful, unaware of the weight in your hands. "Good morning, Bloomhouse Flowers. How can I help you?" You clear your throat. "Hello, I received a delivery this morning. Roses. The card says your shop name inside the lid." "Oh, yes. Let me check. Could you give me your name, please?" You spell it carefully. There's the sound of typing, the flutter of paper. "Here it is," the woman says finally. "Delivery at 8:15 a.m., 12 mixed roses, paid in cash." "Cash?" "Yes, ma'am. No name on the order, just your address written by hand." "Can you tell me what the handwriting looked like?" There's a pause. "That's unusual, but—" You hear her rustling through slips. Neat block letters. All caps. The phone trembles in your hand. "Could you tell me the date the order was placed?" "Yesterday afternoon around 4:30. One of our regular couriers picked it up." You grip the edge of the table. "Did the customer say anything? Anything at all?" "Just that the delivery had to be made this morning, no delays. They even tipped extra for punctuality." You thank her, voice thin. You hang up before your breath betrays you. Yesterday. Someone placed the order yesterday. That's the fact that won't fit anywhere in your mind. You walk to the mantel where you keep a small framed photo of his headstone. You trace his name again, the same 4 letters that are now burned into your memory. You whisper, "This isn't funny." Though no one is there to laugh, you decide to visit the shop yourself. There's no way to think clearly until you see the place again. You change into jeans and a soft gray sweater, the one with the elbow patch he used to tease you about. You put the note in your purse. The drive is only 30 minutes, but the silence makes it longer. The road out of town curves through fields that used to hold sunflowers. Most are brown now, stalks bowed. You keep your eyes on the asphalt, not on the memories it passes through. Every few minutes you catch yourself glancing at the passenger seat as if expecting movement there. When you finally pull up to Bloomhouse, the small bell above the door greets you like an old friend who doesn't know what happened in between. The smell is the same earth, water, sweet decay. Buckets of flowers stand like little soldiers in lines of color. Behind the counter, the young woman from the phone waves. "You're the one who called about the roses, right?" "Yes." You show her the note, careful not to smudge it. "This came with them." Her smile fades. "Oh, that's odd." "Do you recognize the handwriting?" She squints. "It looks familiar, but I can't be sure. We sometimes get handwritten addresses from customers who don't want to fill out the online form." She flips through a binder. "We did have someone come in, older man, gray jacket, black cap. He said it was a surprise for his wife." Your pulse stumbles. "Did he give a name?" "No, just said he'd lost her and wanted to send her flowers one last time." You grip the counter to steady yourself. Did he look healthy? I mean, alive?" She frowns, confused. "Of course. He paid cash and left. Why?" You shake your head. "Nothing. Just thank you." Outside, the sun has climbed higher, but it gives no warmth. You stand by your car, the key heavy in your hand. The idea that someone could pretend to be him, walk into that shop, speak of losing his wife, and order roses for you, it is cruel, precise, deliberate. The kind of thing that could only come from someone who knows your story. You start to drive but take the long route back, the one that passes the cemetery. You tell yourself it's coincidence that the traffic light turns red right in front of the gate. You stare at the iron bars and the way the shadows fall between them like piano keys. You don't plan to stop, but your hands turn the wheel anyway. Inside the gates, the gravel crunches under your tires. You park near his spot, 3rd row, second from the oak. The grass around the headstone is still trimmed. Someone must have been here recently. You kneel down. The last flowers you brought, lilies, are gone. In their place lies one red rose, the same kind as the ones on your table. You touch the petals. They're fresh. The stem is wet. You whisper his name again, and this time it comes out as a question. The wind moves through the trees like breath. You look around. No one. The caretaker's shed is closed. The air smells faintly of rain that hasn't fallen yet. You stay there a long time, long enough for the shade to shift across the ground, long enough to imagine that if you stay still enough, he'll appear in the corner of your eye. But all that comes is the sound of your own pulse. On the drive home, you rehearse explanations. A prank by someone who saw the obituary, a friend who thought it would comfort you, a random mix-up. Each story makes sense until you remember the handwriting. That block print steady, certain, his. When you reach your house, the mailbox flag is up. You don't remember leaving any outgoing mail. Inside is an envelope with your name printed the same way as on the note. No stamp. Just placed there. Your hands tremble as you tear it open. Inside, a single photograph. You and him at the same flower shop years ago, laughing at something out of frame. On the back, in the same hand, you forgot something. You sink onto the steps, photo in one hand, letter in the other. The sky above looks flat and low, pressing down. Your breath feels small. You go inside, lock the door, and pull the curtains halfway. You take the photograph to the table and lay it beside the bouquet. Side by side, they look like 2 pages of the same book you didn't know you were still writing. You think of the florist's words again. He said he'd lost her and wanted to send her flowers one last time. A message across the divide, or someone mocking your grief. You can't decide which thought hurts more. You brew more tea because motion keeps you from breaking. You sip, slow, eyes on the picture. He looks alive there, the way you want to remember him. Not the hospital version, not the silence after. The sound of the teapot cooling clicks like a slow heartbeat. Then the phone rings. The screen says, "Private number." You answer, because fear and curiosity are twins. At first, nothing. Then a faint hiss, like wind through grass. Then a whisper, "Did you get them?" Your chest tightens. Who is this? Silence. Then a click, and the line goes dead. You call back, but there's no number to reach. You stare at the phone until your reflection stares back. You whisper, "This isn't real." But the phone is still warm from the call. The hours that follow stretch thin. You check every window latch, every light. You keep the card in your pocket because throwing it away feels like closing a door you might need open. You sit in the armchair until dusk, listening for the smallest wrong sound. At 7 p.m., a knock. Soft, hesitant. You freeze. The second knock is louder. You walk to the door, but don't open it. Through the peephole, you see a figure A man, gray jacket, black cap, exactly as the florist described. He's holding something wrapped in paper. Your mouth goes dry. You whisper through the door, "Who are you?" No answer. He bends down, places the parcel on the porch, and walks away without looking back. You wait until he disappears around the corner before opening the door. The paper smells faintly of smoke and rain. Inside is a small wooden box with a brass clasp. No key. You carry it inside and set it on the table beside the roses. Your fingers hover over the clasp, but don't open it yet. The handwriting on the envelope returns to your mind, the same letters that have followed you all day. You remember something your husband once told you when he was sick. "If you ever get something from me after I'm gone, it means I planned it to reach you when you were ready." You whisper, "I'm not ready." But your hand still moves. The clasp opens with a soft click. Inside, a folded piece of paper, and a small silver locket. You unfold the paper. The words are written in his voice. If you're reading this, it means you've made it through the hardest part. Look behind you, not in fear, but to see how far you've come. I'm proud of you. Your breath catches. The note is old, the ink slightly faded, the edges yellowed. It's not fresh. It's something he wrote before, hidden, waiting. The locket is familiar. It's the one he promised to buy but never did. You open it, and inside is a tiny photo, the same one from the flower shop, cropped smaller, his smile closer. Tears come quietly, without shaking. You realize the message was never meant to scare you. It was meant to remind you, to make you turn around and face the life that's still behind you, not the grave. The fear drains out, replaced by something gentler. You sit there, the locket in your hand, the roses breathing their soft scent, and you let the moment settle. You whisper to the empty chair. You planned this, didn't you? The house doesn't answer, but it feels full again, not with ghosts, but with memory. You pour the rest of your tea, cold now, into the sink. Outside, the first real rain begins to fall, soft and even, the kind he used to love listening to. You open the window just enough to let the sound in. You take the bouquet and place it in the vase he carved years ago, the one that had sat empty since the funeral. You set the locket beside it. The note, folded once more, goes into the drawer, not to hide it, but to keep it safe. When you finally sit down, the air feels lighter. You look behind you one last time, and for the first time all day, there is nothing to fear, only the quiet presence of everything you've lived through, and the sense that maybe, just maybe, he kept his promise after all. The next morning, the light comes through the curtains like a whisper rather than a knock. You haven't slept much. Every time your eyes closed, you saw the 4 words again. Look behind you, but now they mean something different. Less threat, more echo. You make coffee slowly the way he used to, 1 spoonful too much, a bit of sugar even though you promised to quit. The scent fills the kitchen, heavy and sweet, wrapping itself around you like an invisible hand. The bouquet still stands in the vase, drinking water like a guest who refuses to leave. The roses have opened wider overnight, showing veins, age, and beauty all at once. You reach for the locket again. It feels alive, warm from your palm. You wear it around your neck for the first time. The weight of it is small, but it changes the way you breathe. You touch it when you move, almost unconsciously. A new heartbeat that belongs half to you, half to him. You sit at the table and spread out everything you have so far. The first note, the photograph, the envelope, and his second message from the box. You realize that even after death, he's still doing what he always did, leaving you puzzles to solve. He was the kind of man who never gave gifts plainly. For every anniversary, he hid clues around the house, turning love into a quiet game. You used to roll your eyes, but secretly, you loved it. Now you wonder if this is the last game he designed, a message that unfolded only when the grief was thin enough to see through. You remember his voice saying, "When the time comes, don't live in front of the grave. Turn around." At the time, you thought he meant to move on. Maybe he meant this exactly. This strange morning, this trail of roses and words. You take your phone and zoom in on the photograph. There, in the background of the flower shop, barely visible through the glass, is a small poster pinned to the wall. Charity event for Hospice Garden Wing, Saturday, May 17th. You remember that place. That's where he spent his last month. The new hospice building had a greenhouse he adored. He once told you, If I can't walk outside anymore, at least I can be surrounded by things that grow. You glance at the date, May 17th. That's next week. For a second, you freeze. He can't have known that exact date, but he could have known the event happens every spring. He might have arranged something to happen there. Maybe a letter, a donation, maybe even the florist was part of it. You decide to go. You tell yourself it's to close the loop, to end the story before it starts to haunt you again. But deep down, you know you're hoping there's one more message waiting. You spend the week in a strange kind of focus. You clean the house top to bottom, the way people do before guests arrive, though no one's coming. You fix the leaky faucet, replace the bulb in the hallway, fold the laundry that sat for days. You find small comfort in order. Every drawer you close feels like sealing part of your sadness away. At night, you dream of the rose box. In the dream, you're always about to open it again, but when you lift the lid, there's light instead of flowers, a soft golden light that hums like his laughter. You wake up before you can see what's inside. Saturday comes gray and silent. The morning air is damp, carrying the smell of earth after rain. You dress simply, jeans, white blouse, the same gray sweater. The locket rests cold against your skin, and you tuck it beneath your collar. You drive to the hospice building slowly, the road slick, the world half reflecting itself in every puddle. When you arrive, the garden wing is open. Volunteers move between rows of potted plants, hanging ribbons, setting up tables with name tags and water pitchers. You recognize a few nurses from the time he was here. One of them, Helen, sees you and smiles. "Mrs. Carter," she says softly, walking over. "It's been a while. How are you?" You smile back, and for once, you don't lie. "Better than I thought I would be." Helen looks at you for a moment, eyes kind. "He used to talk about you every day, you know, especially about that cactus he killed." You laugh, an honest, startled sound. "Spike," you say, and she laughs too. You walk through the garden. The glass roof catches light and throws it in gentle fragments across the plants. Orchids lean toward the sun. Ferns whisper in the damp air. You stop at the far corner, his favorite bench. He'd called it his escape hatch. When the pain was bad, he'd ask the nurses to roll him there, and he'd just sit, quiet, watching the way light filtered through leaves. Now the bench is empty except for a single object lying in the center, a small envelope, white, slightly curled from humidity. It's sealed with red wax, your name written across the front. For a moment, you can't move. The air thickens, and every sound in the room fades. It's as if the world is holding its breath with you. You reach out slowly, your fingertips brushing the wax seal. The handwriting is the same, his. You sit down before your knees give out. The bench feels colder than you remember. You break the seal and unfold the letter. "My love." If you're reading this, you've done something brave. You've turned around. I left small things behind because I knew you'd keep searching until you found meaning again. It was never about the flowers. It was never about fear. It was always about direction. The hospice staff promised me they'd place this letter here during the spring event. If I could have chosen a season to leave you, it would have been spring. When everything that looks dead remembers how to bloom again. You've always been stronger than you think. You saved me in life, and now you're saving yourself in the after. Promise me this. Keep something living near you. A plant, a person, a dream. Don't live only behind the memories. Look behind you when you must, but then face forward. That's where I'll meet you again, somewhere in the light. You finish reading and there are no tears, only a quiet warmth spreading from your chest to your hands. You fold the letter carefully and hold it to your heart. Helen appears beside you silently, as if she knew you'd find it. "He made me promise not to tell you," she says gently. He planned it months before. You nod. He always planned things too early. Maybe he just knew you'd need a reason to come back here, she says. You stay on that bench for a long time. The volunteers talk softly in the distance. Birds sing outside the glass roof, and the letter feels alive in your hands. It isn't grief anymore. It's gratitude disguised as ache. Before leaving, you visit the small shop by the entrance where they sell plants to raise money. Your eyes fall on a familiar sight, a cactus, small, spiky, determined. The tag says, Echinopsis subdenudata. You smile. You buy it without hesitation. At home, you set the cactus on the kitchen windowsill, right where Spike once lived. The sky clears slowly, the kind of slow blue that feels earned. The house feels new, not because anything changed, but because you finally did. Later that evening, you pour a glass of water and toast quietly to the empty chair across from you. You were right, you say aloud. It was never about ghosts. You open the windows and let the air move through the house. It smells like rain and roses and something else, freedom. Then the doorbell rings again. The sound startles you, but you go to the door calmly this time. On the porch sits another box, smaller, no ribbon. You smile faintly, half exasperated, half expecting him to have one more trick left. You open it. Inside is a single seed packet. On the front, forget-me-not. On the back, in faint blue ink, the same steady writing. For the garden you'll plant when you're ready. You press the packet to your lips and whisper, "Okay, I will." You walk out to the backyard, still damp from yesterday's rain, and kneel beside the small patch of soil near the fence. You dig with your hands, the dirt cool and forgiving. You plant the seeds one by one. You cover them gently, like putting children to bed. When you stand, your knees ache, but you smile. The night grows dark around you, but not empty. The porch light hums, moths circling it like stars that forgot how to rise. You touch the locket once more, the metal warm against your pulse. Inside the house, the bouquet has started to fade. The petals curl at the edges, the water cloudy. You think about throwing them away, then decide not to. Not yet. They've done their job. They brought you back to the living. You pick up his letter again and read the last line over and over. Look behind you when you must, but then face forward. The simplicity of it feels like truth. You whisper it aloud like a prayer. That night, before bed, you write your own letter. Not to send, but to keep. My love, if you ever find a way to see me, know that I'm okay. The house is full again. The air moves. I can laugh without guilt. I will plant things. I will travel. I will wake up for more than sorrow. You told me to look behind once. Now I'm looking ahead. You fold the note and place it inside the same box where the roses first came. You close the lid softly. This time, the box feels lighter, not because it's empty, but because you finally are. As you turn off the lights and head toward your bedroom, the moonlight falls across the hallway. You pause and glance back just once, and instead of fear, you see a calm shadow, still and familiar, standing at the far end, not threatening. Just there, like a memory saying goodbye. You whisper, "Good night," and the house stays quiet, warm, alive. 3 months later, the house no longer smells like grief. It smells like soil, like coffee, like something cooking for one, but made with care. The forget-me-nots you planted by the fence have broken through the dirt-thin green shoots, reaching up as if they already know your name. Every morning you stand by the window with your cup and watch them, waiting for color to bloom. Life hasn't become easy, but it has become real again. That's different. You go to the market on Saturdays, chat with neighbors, even laugh at small things. You keep his photograph on the wall, no longer as a wound, but as a witness. When people visit, you tell them stories about him that make them smile, not pity you. The pain is turned into something quieter, a low hum that reminds you you've loved deeply. Sometimes, though, you still hear echoes, like the first night the rain came after the roses, or the creak of the old floorboard where he used to drop his shoes. You no longer call it haunting, you call it memory breathing. On one of those quiet mornings, a letter arrives in the mail. A real one this time, stamped and dated. The handwriting is not his. The return address says, Hospice Garden Foundation. You open it at the table beside the cactus and the vase that now holds fresh daisies. Dear Mrs. Carter, we wanted to inform you that the donation made in your husband's name last year has been fully allocated. The funds went toward the new greenhouse wing, officially named the Carter Room. A small plaque will be unveiled this Friday at noon. We would be honored if you attended. Your eyes blur at the words. He did it again, one more quiet plan planted before he left. You close the letter and press it to your chest. You whisper, "You can stop now. You've done enough." But you already know you'll go. That Friday, the day is gold and clear, the kind of day he used to say felt borrowed from heaven. You drive with the windows down, hair tangled by wind, the locket cool against your skin. The hospice building looks brighter than you remember. Outside the new greenhouse, staff and volunteers gather in small clusters, holding cups of lemonade and programs with his name printed neatly on the front. When the director calls your name to come forward, you hesitate. Then you feel something, a soft warmth on your shoulder, like a hand without weight. You smile, step up, and pull the cord to reveal the plaque. The Carter Room for Robert Carter, who believed every seed deserves a chance to bloom again. The crowd applauds, and the sound rolls through the glass roof like rain on summer nights. For a moment, it feels as if he's right there, laughing quietly at all the attention he never wanted. After the ceremony, Helen approaches you. "He'd be proud," she says. You nod, unable to trust your voice. "He always liked things that grow," you manage. "He said something once that stuck with me," she adds. He said, "Even when I'm gone, let me keep something alive." I think he meant this place, but maybe he meant you too. That night, you can't sleep. The moonlight through the curtains spills across the floor in the shape of a doorway. You lie awake, thinking about every message he left you. The roses, the photograph, the locket, the letter, the seed packet, the plaque. Each one was a bridge, guiding you from loss to life. But now you feel something new, the need to stop looking for signs and start leaving your own. You get up, wrap a shawl around your shoulders, and step outside. The air smells of wet grass and the faint sweetness of the forget-me-nots, now blue and open. You kneel down beside them and whisper, "Thank you." Then you take a small notebook from your pocket and begin to write, not a goodbye, but a beginning. July 2nd. 3 months since the flowers. I've stopped counting days since you left. I've started counting the ones I get to live. I planted something new today, not just in the soil inside me, too. You keep writing. About small things, the neighbor's cat that visits, the way the light falls on the porch, the taste of fresh coffee when the world is quiet. You write until dawn paints the sky in pale pink, and for the first time, your words don't feel like reaching back. They feel like reaching forward. Weeks pass. The flowers spread. The cactus blooms, once briefly with a white starburst of petals that lasts only a day. You take a photo and pin it beside his picture on the wall. Underneath, you tape the seed packet that started it all. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, you find a box you hadn't opened since before he got sick. Inside are letters, photos, and a dusty camcorder. You plug it in, half expecting it not to work, but the screen flickers to life. The first clip shows him in the garden waving awkwardly. Testing, testing. She's gonna kill me for filming myself like this. You laugh out loud, the sound startling the silence. Then he continues. If you're watching this, it means you've found the camera, and I'm probably not around to delete this embarrassing video. I just wanted to say something simple. Don't stop talking to me. Not because I'm listening, but because it keeps you talking. And talking means living. He looks straight into the lens, eyes warm, smile small. And when you feel alone, just go outside. Everything you need to hear is already growing out there. You pause the video and stare at the screen until it fades to black. Then you whisper, "You really thought of everything, didn't you?" You don't cry this time. Instead, you carry the camcorder downstairs and set it on the shelf beside the vase and the cactus, as if it's just another living thing that belongs there. The following Sunday, you join a local gardening group. You bring a tray of forget-me-not seedlings to share. The others admire them, ask for tips, and you tell the story, not all of it, just enough. A woman named Clara smiles and says, "That's beautiful. He left you a way to keep blooming." That night, you realize how right she is. His story had ended, but yours hadn't. You were meant to keep it going, not as an echo, but as an answer. As the months roll into a year, the house fills with new life. There's a shelf of potted herbs by the window, a bird feeder outside that never stays empty, and laughter again, sometimes yours, sometimes visitors. You've stopped checking the porch for boxes. You don't need more messages. The last one was clear enough. Lev. Still, on the anniversary of his death, you feel a quiet invitation to return to where the first letter was found. The garden wing, the Carter room. You bring a basket of flowers, mostly forget-me-nots and a few wild daisies. The greenhouse hums with light. The plaque still shines, polished by many hands. You sit on the same bench where the envelope waited months ago. The air is warm, full of bees, and the faint hum of ventilation fans. You close your eyes and imagine his voice beside you, soft and teasing. "So, did you look behind you?" You smile. "I did. And now I'm looking ahead." You place the flowers beneath the plaque. Then, on impulse, you take out a fresh card from your purse, one you'd written that morning. You tuck it under the bouquet. It says, "For whoever finds this, look behind you. There's always something still growing." As you walk out of the greenhouse, you glance back once. The sunlight through the glass turns the flowers into small stars. You realize the message isn't just for someone else, it's for you, again, every time you forget. Outside, the sky is the same blue it was the day he sent the first roses. The world has turned one full circle. But you're not the same woman who opened that door trembling. You're lighter, steadier, alive in ways you didn't think possible. When you reach home, the mail waits on the step. Among bills and flyers, there's one envelope with no stamp, no return address. You laugh, because of course there is. You open it carefully. Inside is a single pressed, forget-me-not, flattened but perfect. No note, no words, just the flower. You don't need an explanation. You slide it into the frame beside his photo. It's not about proof anymore. It's about presence. The kind that doesn't vanish just because the world says it should. That evening, as the sun sinks behind the trees, you light a candle in the window, not in mourning, but in gratitude. You whisper, "You kept your promise. You made me turn around." You sit at the table, notebook open, pen steady, and begin to write the ending of your story. or maybe it's the beginning of another. I received flowers from my dead husband once. They told me to look behind me. When I finally did, I found life waiting there. You close the notebook, smiling. Outside, the forget-me-nots sway gently in the breeze, blue as memory, bright as forgiveness. In the distance, thunder murmurs, a soft reminder that every storm eventually gives way to something green. You watch the clouds roll in, and for a fleeting second, you think you hear his voice in the wind. Good. Now keep going. And you do. You pour yourself another cup of coffee, breathe deeply, and let the scent of rain, roses, and earth fill the room that was once only silence. The candle flickers, the pages of your notebook rustle, and somewhere between the two, love continues, not haunting you, but growing through you.